Caller, you're live on the air. What's your name, comment, and or question?
This is Zuma from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn's in the house. What's happening, man?
How's it going?
It's going great, man. What's on your mind?
Wow, you said a lot, but actually, you said a lot. Anyway, I think it's a good thing those guys are finally being arrested, and I'm glad that Planned Parenthood. Okay, it was a weird M. Night Shyamalan victory, but
yeah.
Okay, I'll go with that.
We'll take it.
But I want to address to you as a former Black revolutionary, don't work with the white man, the system doesn't work, don't vote person.
Speak on it.
Okay? All right. This is something I've addressed to you every time I call it. Here's basically how I see what happens. Let's say someone like you. You start laying out what the Black intelligentsia or what the Democrats are doing, how they slide into the conservative party. I remember a particular angry moment when it was up in the air whether George Bush had won that first term, and then it got decided by his brother in his
Florida.
State, blah, blah, blah. So, when and at some point, I'm going to do something about this voter apathy thing, because I think everybody keeps looking at it from two wrong directions. Because let's go with what your question is. Why would they make this kind of argument? And I would go to, believe it or not, a John Cleese quote.
Okay.
When I was a kid, he said his biography, everything was funny. Everything. Then you get to a certain age, you realize how nothing changes, how progress is uphill, and everything stops being funny right then and there. So when everyone keeps laying out exactly how corrupt the system is, exactly how problematic it is. I mean, you look up, Trump should be a joke.
Right.
Alonzo Bolton, of all people, said it right. You think that when he first announced it, everybody would go, that's funny, Trump. And now look where we're at. And so it can't be this much of a shock that people on any, whether it be the poor white people who feel this way, the Black revolutionists who feel this way, or even radical feminists who feel this way. What is the point? Jeez. And because this is overwhelming, it's big. It has so many facets. And this is why I come back to the dumb it down factor. You guys can't keep laying out how bad it is and go, but participate. It's awful. The Democrats are not doing right.
But let me ask you something right there, because I've heard you make this argument several times, and part of me agrees with you. But I guess for me, when you see how bad it really is, that's all the more reason for you to double down and participate more. Because if you just lay down, I guess for me, my life has never been one where if I see something that's a challenge, that it makes me want to lay down and not participate, right? Because if that was the case, then there's no way in the world I would expend this kind of energy every single night fighting against what I see as the actual problem. But you're right in that the actual problem is so deeply rooted, very complex, that perhaps it can scare people away, and not even scare them away as much as make them feel disheartened. And I think the whole concept behind the Progressive Army is to not be disheartened by the challenge, but let the challenge drive you to fight even more. Like, this system is our system, screwed up as it may be. We have the ability to change it if we organize ourselves and we fight like hell. So to me, it's like, I guess I don't understand not wanting to fight the bigger fight. That's the only thing I disagree, or that's the only way where I part ways with you.
Okay. But then we have to come back to the major mistake the Democrats made during the last midterms, not owning up to their wins. To run away from Obama the way they did would mean that you have to run away from your wins. Because every win a Democrat could cite basically comes on the heels of the stuff that Obama did. Now, I'm not saying that anyone's wrong about what he couldn't do, what he should do. I think everybody has a point with that. It's a president, and you're allowed to tell your elected officials what you believe they shouldn't do. But my point is that this is one of those other things that happens with progressives. We are so focused on the problem, we forgot how we won. when you lay out all the hard parts, especially for the common people, and I'm not trying to say unintelligent, I'm just saying people who do not
have time for all this nuance, be honest with you.
Yeah, it doesn't have time for the nuance. What makes Martin and Malcolm and Stokely and all those people go orators, because they can lay it out quick. And this is the problem. Here's what we can do. When the Montgomery bus boycott happened, there wasn't all this examination, and Lord knows. See, this is what turns me around. I do not have it that hard. I was not back at a bus. To be honest with you, except for during protests, I've never been set upon by police or set up by police or beat up by police. I mean, I've met jerks.
Right.
But that does not mean it didn't happen. But I'm saying we have this. It's like with the Bernie thing. Okay, let's listen to both sides. Why? Give me one reason why Bernie can win. That's the only message we should be pumping.
Right.
Instead, we're like, well, okay, Bernie can win, but if we have to go with Hillary, and you know how disheartening that is for the common person. They want Bernie, and they want look what the Democrats and the Tea Party does. They don't care if their candidate could win or lose. They pump them and pump them and pump them. Our whole thing is, here's the problem. We're going to take 3 hours to lay it out. Then 2 minutes to go. Okay, we can solve it. And it's like showing a bunch of children the worst horror movies at all. They say, "Don't be scared of monsters," while they're sitting there shaking in their seats, going, "What?"
That's a good one. That's a good analogy, and I hear you. I appreciate the call. I got to get this next one, but I'm gonna give a little more commentary on what you just said. So I appreciate it. To really, I get it. Right. I do get it. Umar from Brooklyn. I definitely get it. But to me, see, I think for me, we lay this out for an hour and a half, maybe not 2 hours tonight, but an hour and a half. And we do lay out the complexities of it, because I think that there's a very large contingent of progressives that really appreciate the nuance and need the nuance and need to be able to dissect something down. Here's the other thing. In a competition of sound bites, we've been losing. In a competition of propaganda, well, not even competition, but in a world of propaganda, progressive ideas have been losing. We've really been on the retreat in terms of actual policy, in terms of actually shaping America. For instance, case in point, when Obama was running for president, the entire conversation became about the fear of socialism. Is he a socialist? And because socialism was used as a pejorative, as a soundbite, it was a very effective way of stifling any type of progressive effort. But to me, it wasn't until we unpacked the reality of socialism that we had the tools necessary to very quickly say socialism isn't a bad thing. We actually have had socialism in America for a very long time. If you look at the post office, if you look at the military, if you look at any type of redistribution of wealth for the purposes of the common good, that's socialism. That's a form of socialism. That's not extreme socialism. This is not giving, you have to understand the problem to be able to water down and synthesize it into very quick sound bites that debunks their propaganda. So this is why I call it the progressive army, is because we have a hell of a job on our hands. We have to take, because we're coming from a defensive position, first of all. Eventually, we will get on the offensive. But because progressives have been on the defensive for a very long time, we have to take all of the 35 years worth of lies and propaganda. And caller, please call back. Sorry, I missed you. Years of lies and propaganda. And we have to unpack it, debunk it intelligently, and then synthesize it into 140 characters. That is a hell of a job, but that's what we do at the Progressive Army, right? And so this is really just a strategy session. This is just really a reconnaissance mission for us to understand the problem, right? It's intelligence gathering. We're gathered here today to dissect the problem as succinctly as we can. Our job, every one of us, every one of you listening, every one of you who consider yourself a part of the Progressive Army, whether even if it's just on Twitter, our job is to synthesize the solutions and the truth as succinctly as possible. Can you put a diatribe, a book's worth of knowledge into 140 characters? That's the even more difficult part, because we are living in a world of headlines, 140 characters, and sound bites. But we've been losing that war. And we've been losing that war because we have not unpacked their propaganda, debunked their propaganda, and we haven't done so in a way that is synthesizable. And I think that's kind of what we do here at the Progressive Army, is that at the Benjamin Dixon Show and the Progressive Army, is that we take their lies, we unravel them. We can do it at length if necessary, but then we also are going to give you some sound bites. For instance, my tweet of why we support Bernie, why we endorse Bernie, it's because socialism has worked really good for corporate America. It's time for it to work for the average American now.